It's time for Ringside. Got a bunch of news lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, we're just gonna whack. Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that, quote, some people think that Brock Lesnar may never come back to WWE. Honestly, I feel like 2024 more than likely would have been the last year for Brock Lesnar. I think that he would have tore the house down with Gunther, and Gunther would have won. And then we probably maybe would have seen Brock maybe like one more time, maybe once or twice in 2024, and then that would have been it. And then we would have gotten some article or somebody from F4W or something being like, hey, Brock Lesnar just said that last match, or this is his last match, something to that degree, you know? I feel like over the last 2 years, we've been seeing less and less and less and less and less of Brock Lesnar, especially after the match that he had with Cody at Backlash. Brock has basically been given the Undertaker Omos treatment, where, you know, his entrance causes a pop, and then they throw him in for like a big match, and then that's pretty much it. I don't think that, even if, you know, these allegations didn't come out, I feel like we really would have this probably would have been like the second to last time, you know, we really would have seen Brock Lesnar. And, you know, there's not really much to say because, I mean, he wasn't really doing anything, again, other than the whole Cody Rhodes Backlash match. There wasn't really anything that he was doing that he was getting into. We weren't really hearing too much about him. So, you know, I mean, I feel like 2024 really would have been his swan song. And yeah, he would have just, you know, been on the way out probably somewhere around fall, you know, somewhere around Christmas time, winter time. That really would have been it for him. So, I don't know. Never say never. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say is never say never. But I personally don't think that Brock Lesnar is coming back, at least for, you know, the rest of the year. Next, WrestleVote says there are, quote, new card variations on the table for WrestleMania 40 now that Lesnar and CM Punk are out and Seth Rollins' status is still questionable. WWE will apparently, quote, take their time and, quote, consider just about everything. I have absolutely no idea what they could potentially do, just because the people who are out were arguably scheduled for probably the biggest matches, except for Cody Roman, right? I mean, you know, you had Punk Rollins pretty much in the palm of your hand right there, and now Punk is going to be out. He's 100% missing WrestleMania, right? Gunther Lesnar, you didn't have to do. You could have done that at Elimination Chamber, but that's still, I mean, that is a WrestleMania match, arguably. That is a WrestleMania match. And yeah, I mean, there's people on the roster that you could definitely build up, and, you know, you could definitely throw them on the card. I don't think it would be out of the ordinary to just sort of slot somebody else in. I don't think that I don't know what I was about to say. The point is, okay, there's a lot that you can do. I don't know who or what or where. I don't know, because like I said, there's so many different people on the roster that you could use. So it really just boils down to all right, well, what do we see as a WrestleMania match, you know? And how do we now, right? Because how do we take something that we've not even been building towards at all, and now how do we suddenly turn this into a marquee, you know, high-profile match that everybody wants to see? How do we do that now? You know what I mean? It would have to be random encounters that you can sort of you know, go back to and use that as a stepping stone, and then you can sort of build off of that, because it can't just be random, you know what I mean? Because you have to think about it as a WrestleMania match. You know, and a lot of the WrestleMania matches stem from, interactions here and there, but, more so, promos on each other, ships passing in the night, that sort of deal. You know, I mean, again, a lot of people on there, a lot of different possibilities, but you have to make sure that it's so significant enough that a bunch of people want to see it. That's why I'm saying I have no idea who it could be, you know? So I'm curious, I personally am curious to see how WWE is going to start formulating these types of storylines going forward through Chamber all the way to Mania. So we'll have to wait and see what they end up doing. Sticky with WWE, Meltzer on Cody Rhodes not announcing his WrestleMania opponent on Raw and teasing that he'll think about Seth Rollins' offer. Quote, the idea is that they can build up for a week or two and pop a big rating for Cody's decision. But everybody already knows that Cody is going to be fighting Roman at WrestleMania, so I don't understand why you're trying to make this big hullabaloo about a decision when everybody already knows exactly what he's going to be saying. I get it. I do. The big pop, no one truly knows. I mean, you could zig if you, and when everybody thinks you're gonna zag. If that's really what you want to do, I can't really say anything about that, you know. I mean, it's gonna be a fantastic match either way. Cody Rollins, it's gonna be great. But everybody already knows that it's gonna be Cody Rollins. He has to finish the story. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for Cody to just, the exit's right there. It wouldn't make any sense for Cody to just keep going straight. It wouldn't make any sense at all. I think it would actually backfire a little bit because people would be upset that Cody didn't finish his story when the whole time he said he was going to. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, I wouldn't be complaining about the match realistically, and I feel like Cody and Seth Rollins could definitely turn it around and definitely have more people excited about the World Heavyweight Championship match rather than the WWE Championship match, for sure, because it's Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, right? But again, you know, it definitely would shut down a lot of already anticipated, you know, eyes on the match as a whole. And I don't think, personally, in the long run, right, I don't think that that's a smart idea to just sort of, like, you know, do that anyway. Not saying that that's exactly what they're going to do, but for Cody to sit here and be like, you know, to insinuate a decision as if he is going to go for the World Heavyweight Championship, that doesn't seem like a smart idea. I don't think they're going to do it. Again, popping a big rating makes a lot of sense. I still think they're going with Cody Roman now. Next, for what it's worth, early betting odds from BetOnline have multiple title changes coming at WrestleMania 40, including Cody Rhodes finally finishing the story. This coincides with the point that I was making earlier about how you are going to need to build that up. You've got a lot of different WrestleMania plans that you are going to have to make. You have a lot of wrestlers on the roster. You have to tell somebody, you have to tell the casual fans, the hardcore fans, you have to tell everybody in 10 words or less, this is going to be your new World Heavyweight Champion. You have to say that. Is he changing hands? Is the World Heavyweight Championship? Is the Intercontinental? Is the United States? Are these titles changing hands? Yes. Well, then you have to tell me why. You have to tell me why. You have to tell me how, right? You can't just have Joe Schmo from down the street show up, smack somebody upside the head, and they're the new champion, because that's not going to work. It's certainly not going to go over how you think. So if Seth Rollins is going to lose his World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, you need to give me a World Heavyweight Champion caliber wrestler. You cannot just slap some random guy on the card and then he wins the title and then that's it, because it's not going to go how you think it is. Okay? I don't know why I keep picturing Chad Gable in that position. Not for the negative reasons, but for the positive reasons. But for some strange reason, I just feel as though that he is a perfect caliber for not only putting on a great match, but convincing everybody, hey, I know how to wrestle, right? And I have the ability, just all around, right, to convince everybody that I would make a very good champion. And that's the type of, you know, direction you need to go in, which is why you can't have, like, you know, Ludwig Kaiser just randomly show up and be like, oh, by the way, I'm the new World Heavyweight Champion now. You know what I mean? Like, it can't, and I'm pretty sure that goes without saying, but if you are, and that's assuming the titles are 100% guaranteed going to change hands. If they are, then it needs to be AJ Styles, you know, Big E, Bobby Lashley. It needs to be guys who you know for a fact can carry the torch if that's something that they need to do. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not going to change hands. All I'm saying is that if they are going to change hands, then it needs to be someone whose hands are capable of holding whichever title, you know, is going to change at WrestleMania. Moving right along, according to Fightful Select, even if an NXT wrestler is working on main event tapings, that shouldn't be taken as an indication they are being considered for a call-up to the main roster. I'm guilty of this. There are a lot of times where I will see a bunch of different wrestlers float around on main event, and I will immediately assume, NXT wrestlers to be specific, and I will assume that that means that they're potentially going to be called up to the main roster. There's no other outside interference. Nobody's influenced this decision of mine. I personally just believe that, okay, well, if you're on main event, then that obviously means that we're going to start seeing you on, you know, SmackDown or Raw. You know what I mean? I think that if they show up on SmackDown or Raw just outright, you know, then, well, no, because Carmelo Hayes has been showing up on SmackDown recently, and he's still on NXT, so does that count as a call-up if he's going back and forth? It would have to be, like, it would have to be a call, like, Baron Corbin got called up to NXT because he's on NXT regularly now. So if Carmelo Hayes showed up on SmackDown regularly, then I guess you would consider that a call-up. But Carmelo's moving back and forth, so I don't really think that that's anything. I think that's just him just moving back and forth, just moving along the board. Yeah, that's fair, It would be, it's wrong to just immediately assume that, unless explicitly told. So, I'm guilty of that, and I want to go ahead, and I want to apologize. I made a severe lapse in judgment, and I want to go ahead and apologize to those that I affected, There's not really much else to say. If you're on the main roster, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's if you're on main event, that doesn't mean that you're on the main roster. It's just, they're putting you on the card. And, okay, you know what? See, I almost didn't. I almost said, oh, who knows? Maybe that does mean. No, it doesn't. I literally just all right? This was made specifically for me, all right? If you're on main event, that does not guarantee you are on the main roster. I have to say that out loud to myself, apparently. Finally, although Rey Fenix was on television recently, the Wrestling Observer newsletter notes, quote, he's pretty banged up and not expected back that soon. They also say Megan Bayne should be starting in AEW shortly. You obviously don't want to hear that, right? You want Rey Fenix to be back sooner rather than later. I have talked about this numerous times, if you're banged up, right? I would rather that you stay as far away from a wrestling ring as possible until you are 100% better. I don't want to go back to the era of I'm wrestling through an injury because I gotta show my toughness or whatever, right? I'm glad that we're not in that era anymore, okay? Again, I would like for Rey to recover, right? Fix himself up, get a massage, cryotherapy, whatever he's gotta do, okay? So that when he does come back, his body is at 100% and he doesn't have to worry about, exacerbating an already existing injury, right? That's probably the worst thing that could potentially happen is having an injury that isn't that bad, continuing to wrestle, and then because you did that, the injury is now worse, and now you are missing out on more wrestling because of that. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen, right? I assume Rey doesn't want that to happen, so let's hope he makes a speedy recovery, and he's back sooner rather than later. Megan Bayne apparently has been signed for months now, and she was with, I almost said AEW for quite some time. I would say since she's been with AEW since 2021 when she was on Dark and Dark Elevation. She's a great wrestler. She's held a couple championships on the indie circuit, and all around she's really good. And I don't particularly know why we haven't really seen her. She was gone for a little bit, but that's because AEW sent her up to, she was sent to Stardom, to improve, refine, that sort of thing. Now she's back down. So I would hope that means that we're going to be seeing more of her on TV. That's the hope. I don't see a reason why you would send her back down, and then we just don't hear or see anything of her. That wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. So hopefully, two things. Hopefully, Rey recovers sooner rather than later, and we see Megan Bayne on TV also sooner rather than later as well. What do we talk about? Some people think Lesnar may never come back to WWE. I don't know. There's a part of me that doesn't believe that. And I don't know. There's a part of me that's just like, I don't think that that's true. I wouldn't rule it out. In fairness, though, I feel like 2024 was going to be his last year anyway, right? I know what I just said. Okay, but I feel like we would have been, after 2024, I feel like we would have been seeing, like, considerably less Lesnar. I think we would have seen Lesnar maybe literally once a year, maybe once a year, and that pretty much would have been it. I don't think that he's gone. I don't know. There's just a part of me that just feels like he's not gone. New card variations on the table. If you are going to have someone else in the WrestleMania spot and they are going to win the title, they need to not be Cameron Grimes. No offense to Cameron Grimes, but we haven't seen Cameron Grimes on TV. Cameron Grimes hasn't got a promo, right? You can't have Cameron Grimes just randomly. Listen, I would prefer that it's someone we've already seen on TV, just so that at that point we already have established them, whether they're a heel or a face or they have a gimmick or whatnot, right? You don't want to have to build somebody from the ground up like Cameron Grimes. You want someone like Tiffany Stratton, who's already, garnered a personality, a gimmick, an attitude or what have you, right? They've got the whole package. So just throwing them in a storyline, you wouldn't have to try as hard, That's all I'm really trying to say. Cody Rhodes announcing his WrestleMania opponent to pop ratings. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if he were to go with Seth Rollins. Again, it'd be a great match. Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. I think that, I know that they're still going to go Cody Roman, so that's not too, too far out. Multiple titles, yeah, so again, you need to not be Cameron Grimes. Again, no offense. Even if an NXT wrestler is working on main event, doesn't mean they're called into the main roster. I literally almost, went right back on it. In the same exact sentence, I almost went who knows? No. We do know, and that's not the case. So that was specifically for me. Ray Phoenix was on television, banged up, not expected back that soon, and Megan Bayne should be starting AEW shortly. Hopefully, Ray makes a speedy recovery, and hopefully, when Bayne does show up, that we don't just see her once on Rampage or something. I would like for her to be in a storyline. I don't understand taking her all the way to stardom, having her come back, and then just not really doing anything with her. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, hopefully something comes of that. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.